Hello, happy Thursday, you guys. Thanks for being here today, for taking the time to watch the replay. I really appreciate that. It's been a couple weeks since I've been live here, as of course it's summertime here, July, and we've been having some kind of like weird weather around here, sort of summery, and this week is super summery. And so now it's hard to be down in the basement in my craft room, but I have a really fun project for you guys today, this cute little mini album that I think we're gonna have a good time at creating. My name is Lori DeGroot from Loritamarie Crafts, and I'm a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator here in Calgary, and I love to come here live so that I can share fun tips, techniques, ideas, inspiration with you to help you take your paper crafting supplies and turn them into beautiful projects. Um, Usually I'm sharing about a class that I have on the go, but I don't have any classes open right now. But I did want to say, summertime, things going on. If you've missed any of my classes, you can actually check out my past classes on my website under past tutorials and under paper crafting classes and then past tutorials. And you can purchase the tutorials anytime, and anyone can purchase them no matter where you live. And they're video tutorials with PDFs that go along with it. And so I've had a few fun classes in the last couple months. My June Stamp and Create class with the Celebratory Sips suite. July's was with the Pain Chili Pears suite. And I had my Summer Splash Craft Bash where we made a really fun mini album, more elaborate than what I'm sharing here today. And then there was another fun fold class. So if you've missed any of my classes, fear not, you can just go check it out on my website and grab the tutorials there. And then next week, I wanted to mention quickly that if you love Stampin' Up's new in colors, there's going to be a sale on in colors next week. So from August 5th, so that's Tuesday, to the end of the month, to the 31st, you're going to be 15% off select in color products. So I can't wait to see all the things that are on sale. Maybe you haven't got the ink or the refills yet, or I'm thinking like Stampin' Blends are on my list. And so that's going to be a fun sale that's coming up. So stay tuned for more details on that. And did you know that if you're a demonstrator that you get sneak peeks of new products? And if you can believe it, we have already seen the sneak peek for the new September to December mini catalog. I'm so excited. It is so amazing. I can't wait to share new products with you. So if you want to join Stampin' Up, you love it, you're already buying crafting supplies, you can join anytime. And then for August, you can already start ordering from the new catalog. So that's kind of exciting. But I will be sharing new products and fun ideas and setting up for the fall. And it's always hard to think of fall projects when I'm in full on summer mode, but it's coming. So it's time to get prepared. So it's going to be a lot of fun sharing all the new stuff that's coming out. So let's get to our project for today. If you have any questions, if you want a catalog, if you need to request a catalog, you can comment here or contact me from my website, and I would love to help you out with anything that's going on. Let's bring you down to the desk here so we can see what we're playing with today. And this is so cute. This is called the Weekend Adventures Designer Series paper. And I love buffalo plaid like for, I don't know, forever, for a really long time. And every time I see Stampin' Up! Bring out anything buffalo plaid, I definitely have it on my wish list. So what's funny is that I don't actually camp or anything like that, but I couldn't resist this anyway. So I wanted to think of a fun project that we could show, that we could make together, even if you're not like, okay, I don't go camping, so it doesn't speak to me. I think it's still going to be something fun that you can create with. So there is designer series paper. So let's start with that. And you get actually 3 patterns double-sided, and you get 4 of each. So you get this fun buffalo plaid one, and then it's got this awesome kind of like black stripe on the back. The next pattern are little trees. You can see the little trees, and the back are cutie little acorns. And then this one's really fun, so kind of more hiking maybe or something like that. And then the back is this really pretty, kind of like looks like a night sky, doesn't it? It's a misty moonlight. So much fun. So like I said, you get 4 of each of those patterns. So it's great for scrapbooking if you do any memory keeping. There's also a full-on scrapbooking workshop kit. So the workshop kits is where you make 3 layouts, so 6 pages, and they're all pre-designed for you, and you just get the fun of kind of putting them all together, and they're super cute. If you don't want that, you can get just, okay, I get this right. You can just get the DSP, you can get the full workshop kit, or you can get the DSP and the sticker sheet. So this is the sticker sheet. Isn't it cute? Look at all these fun stickers that you get. And so we're going to be using some of those today. So much fun. So that is the paper and stuff. And then it has a matching stamp set. So now with the memory keeping stuff, even if you're not like, oh yeah, I'm not really a memory keeper, more into cards, don't forget to look through the memory keeping stuff because yeah, you can use the paper for projects. The stamp sets are meant to go with scrapbooks. They typically have bigger sentiments, but I've loved like every single one that has come out, to be honest. So I love them. And this one is so much fun. It's got great sentiments. And look at that cute little coffee cup. I could never resist a stamp set with a cute coffee cup and these pretty little flowers too. So we're going to be trying to use most of these stamps together today through our project. And then the colors in this paper, so we're going to be featuring Early Espresso, Cajun Craze, Misty Moonlight, and Old Olive. And yeah, I think that's all I wanted to show you. So what I'm going to do is we're going to walk through kind of the steps of how we can create this really cute mini album. So I am going to show you what it looks like. Sometimes I don't do that from the get-go, but I think this will be good to see kind of what we're doing because it's not elaborate. So if you want a more elaborate mini album, like I said, I made one in my Summer Splash Craft Bash class. So definitely check that one out. But this one's just meant to be something fun and easy that we can kind of quickly put together with the little rings. And I like the ring idea because it means we can add to it. So my kids are at camp this week. It's kind of like this sweet spot, the only year probably where they're going to be gone at the same time. So it's kind of fun. But I thought maybe they'd want to use this for camp. They want to print off any pictures. But then they could add to it, and every year they could just add in an extra page or something like that. Like it'd be really easy to add into when it's just got the rings, right? You can just keep adding pages. So to get started, what I'm going to do is we're actually going to we're going to start with our cover, our front cover and our back cover. And I'm actually going to use like the back paper that you get with your designer series paper. You know how there's always like the paper that shows you like the product name and the colors in it. And so we're going to use this as the base. And I'm actually going to grab my old paper trimmer. I keep my old one because when I cut thicker stuff, I don't want to wreck my good blades. And so I always have my old paper trimmer handy for cutting thicker stuff. So I want, the album is a 6x4 size. So I've already got this to 6 inches. And so I'm going to cut 2 pieces each that are 4 inches. There we go. So that's going to be just to give some structure to our front and back cover. And then we're going to grab our fun DSP. And so my cover is going to be my favorite pattern, the buffalo plaid. But obviously any of the patterns would look good. And okay. So now we're going to cut this. For the cover, I want it to be the full size. We want to cover up this paper. So we're going to cut to 6 inches first. And try to decide where I want to start stacking all my extra stuff here. And then 4 inches. And I'm going to need actually 4 because I'm going to put 1 on the front and I'm actually going to use the back side, but it's going to be on the back. And the reason I'm not just using the DSP is because it's pretty thin, right? So I want to kind of add some structure. So I actually need 4 of these. I forgot. So I'm going to need to bring that other piece back over. Okay, so that's 4 pieces, 6x4. And we're going to start putting them on. So I have some things pre-done and some things we're going to do together. So it's kind of going to be a mix of the two as we go along here today. This is shiny. I really want it to stick well. You can use tear and tape. I'm going to use my Seal Plus, which is just stronger than regular seal. And I'm just going to put this directly on. And so it is edge to edge. So I'm just going to like try to start on one edge and make sure I've got it straight. Okay, so we've got that on the one side, and then I want the stripes on the back side. So be sure to put your adhesive. Actually, you could put it on the paper too, I guess. I'm going to put it on this. There we go. And then just remember which side you're putting on. I'll line this up. Okay, I had to focus there for a second. All right, so that is the front cover. And then I would do the exact same thing to create the back cover. And now I want to punch some holes in it to start, and it's going to basically become a template for the rest of my pages. So I have got a hole punch here that I just bought like at Staples. So anyone will do, but I wanted the fatter hole. And so I'm sorry, I don't know the size of it. I was just thinking that. I don't know what the size is. 1/8 of an inch is probably bigger, a 1/4 inch hole. And what I want to do is I want it to be 1 1/4 inch from each end and then up. I thought it was about a 1/2 inch, but when I remeasured it, it ended up being more like 5/8. So because this is a grid pattern, I can even line it up with like the lines on my DSP. So I want it to be in by 1/4, 1 1/4, sorry. So I'm just going to make a little dot. And then, yeah, ends up being about 5/8. So it's kind of like right at the bottom of this line of the plaid pattern here. And so I'm going to go 1 1/4 inch from this side. Let's make our little dots. Grab my hole punch, and then I'm going to try to get that dot that I drew in the center of my hole punch. And we'll do a second. Okay, so now I can use this as a template for the rest of my pages. And I just had these rings kicking around, but I feel like you could get them anywhere, right? So at your like office supply store, online, wherever you want to get them. And these ones are 1 1/2 inches in diameter, and I felt like that was a good size. Maybe even a size down would be good. I had the size up and it was way too big. So I feel like 1 1/2 is as big as you want to go for that. And then I'm going to show you how I did all the pages. So I have 6 inside pages, and I did 3 in early espresso and 3 in basic white. Sorry. I was like, what am I doing? Can't think of numbers and talk at the same time. So these, again, I want them to be 6 by 4. So I'm going to cut that to 6 and then 4 and then 4. And then I would want 1 more. I'm not going to cut all of them right now because I've got some already made. So you want 3 of those. And then with thick basic white instead of regular basic white, and I already had just some scraps kicking around from my last class. And so again, I want these to be 6 by 4. And then I would want 3 of those. And then what I'm going to do in the album is alternate them. So I'm going to have an early espresso one and a white one, and then an early espresso one, and then another white one. So maybe I'll cut into that one. So obviously you can have as many pages as you want. I ended up with 6 to start with. Felt like a good number to start with. And what do we do next? Okay, so then we're going to put the DSP. So I felt like it was easier to create all the pages first and then put it together and then start designing. So for the DSP, I went through every pattern. So we'll use up the piece that we have left. And you want it to be 1/8 of an inch smaller than the pages. So these are going to be 5 7/8 by 3 7/8. 3 7/8. And then you just want to grab a mix and match of all the different pages. So we'll grab this fun pattern. And so 5 7/8 by 3 7/8. Okay. And then as you go through, we can mix and match the front and the back sides. So let's grab our last pattern, which is the trees. And some of these. So I did the virtual album retreat the Stampin' Up hosted a couple weeks ago, and it was incredible. I mean, I had such a great time. And I'm the kind of person who loves the idea of scrapbooking, and I used to scrapbook, but find it very hard to find focus time to scrapbook these days. So I loved having the retreat, a time set aside to scrapbook. And I learned so many tips. And so one thing was the way we organized the pages before we started. I love kind of gathering everything together and then starting to decorate and stuff. So it's kind of what we're doing today. so, um, so we've got our pages. So I'll show you just kind of one idea here. So the first page here, I want to put this fun paper on. And so I'm just going to grab my seal. And so it's just easier to create your album if you have some continuity in all the pages, right? So for this one, I wanted every page to be the same in the sense that every page had the DSP cut to the same size. And then I'm going to turn it over. And so then you can just go through and decide how you want your patterns to go. So I think this one, I'm going to put the tree pattern on. And then we'll put that on. And then once you have all your pages done, so everything's done front and back. Now we can go through and punch the rest of our holes to make sure that it's all the same spot. So just do one page at a time. And so I just kind of making sure that that's nice and even. And then just getting that in the exact same hole. And just make sure. There we go. And now I have my template, and then I can go through and do every single page until I'm done. So let's show you all the pages here so you can see what I did. So I don't want to show you the design of this one yet. So this is the first one. I don't have the other ones designed. So then I did the trees, and then you can see I've got the white background on this one, and the white background looks really good with that blue, with that Misty Moonlight paper. Then I did the plaid, then the trees, then I've got the acorns, then another one of kind of like the hiking, and then I guess went back to back on that one, and I got the plaid again, the trees, right? So it doesn't really matter what order you go in, but that's kind of how I did it. And now let's design the front cover together. And then I'm going to give you a few ideas of things that we can create for the rest of the album. Okay, so the first thing we need is a title. So I've got this piece of basic beige. So basic beige is in the DSP as well. And we're going to use this awesome full-size stamp here. Adventure starts here. And we're going to stamp it in early espresso. And center, but like maybe a little more to the bottom, but it doesn't really matter. We're going to put it like this. And then I saw this fun thing actually on one of Stampin' Up samples. So I'm going to recreate it here. So we'll just clean this off. If you're looking for ideas of how to get started, you bought something and then you're not quite sure, don't forget Stampin' Up samples. You can always go on their website or in the catalogs and get some ideas. Okay. And then I'm just going to grab some scrap paper here. And I'm going to use Cajun Craze. And I'm just going to try to ink up, I'm just going to ink up the word here. That's all I need. And so we'll just stamp that on our scrap paper. And then there's this cute little arrow stamp. And so we're going to stamp that as well. And then we're just going to cut these out. So here, I'm just going to cut right to size, just kind of right around it. So, and then I'm going to just fussy cut out of it. So when you're starting a project like this, you kind of get your color combo going. And of course, with the DSP, it helps you create the color combo already. So grabbed my ink colors kind of in the matching colors. So then you kind of have them all set out. Nowadays, I like to see if I have any of the two-tone cardstock in the colors that match the paper. And so we're going to be using a little bit of two-tone today. So you can kind of gather everything together before you start. All right, now, oh, before we do that, we're going to do a little more stamping on here. And so we're going to use Old Olive. And there's this fun little stamp that's just like little splotches. And so that you can kind of just put them wherever you like. I'm going to put one down there and kind of one up here. And that adds just a little bit of texture. And we'll take our little things that we cut out. And I'm going to put some mini dimensionals on them. So this is something fun to remember with a sentiment stamp, is that you can always, if it's got more than one word, you could stamp it twice in different colors and kind of mix and match. Okay, pick the backings off, and then we're going to cover up the here with our orange one, and then we're going to add the little arrow in here. Isn't that fun? And then when we're making a little project, we might want to see what embellishments we have that go with it. And so I just felt like linen thread was an obvious good matchup for this paper, or this kind of like outdoorsy feel. And I'm just going to add some to my title. Let's see, I'm just going to wrap it around a couple times. And we'll see how, I always feel like when I'm doing a video, I can't coordinate myself to tie a good knot or bow. So we'll see how it goes. But my goal is to tie a little knot here. Okay. There. And then if it's too loose, which lots of times that happens to me, one thing that I do is I just grab a glue dot and I just use my pointy end of my take your pick tool, grab a little glue dot on it, and then I'll just move this over and down maybe a bit. And so kind of wherever you want your knot to be, then I just stick my knot in the glue dot, and then it kind of holds it in place. And I'm not going to tie a bow or anything. And then one thing that we learned in the virtual album retreat is to take the pokey end for twine and run it through your linen thread like this until it starts to fray. Isn't that a great idea? And then you kind of get like these extra little tassels. So that's kind of a fun thing that you could do to add a little more texture. And then I'm just going to layer this up with another piece of DSP just to add a little interest. So this is the one with the trees, and it's 4 3/4 by 1. And so we'll put this on underneath. And just remember that we're going to be right over because we've got our rings to attach here. And I'm actually going to put this on with dimensionals so that it pops up off the title page. And I'm going to use the dimensionals also to kind of hold this twine in place. Let's see. Might as well go nuts. all the dimensionals. Only problem is then you got to pick off all the backings. Okay. And then we'll layer this up kind of farther over to the right so that there's room for my ring to fit in there. And then we could grab our stickers if we want. And you could add any of the fun stickers. So I kind of like this one, and I'll show you how I finished this off on my original sample. Since there's only one of every sticker, I can't reuse it. So it's like a little file tab. So I just stuck it back there. And great embellishments to go with this set are the textured dots. Let's bring those up. Right? They look really good with this kind of natural vibe that we've got going on. Okay, so now we've got the basics, we've got all our pages, and now I'm just going to give you a few tips of how you can design the inside pages. So one thing I did to kind of make things easy for myself was to cut out photo mats ahead of time. So what I did is for each of these 4 colors that are in the DSP, so Misty Moonlight, Early Espresso, Old Olive, and Cajun Craze, I cut out 2 photo mats that would fit a 3x4 picture. So these are 3 1/4 by 4 1/4. So I have like an extra little photo placement here, right? So you can see now we've got like the perfect mat on there. So I did 2 of those in every color, and then I did little smaller ones. So if I had a smaller picture that was 2x3, so these are the mats are 2 1/4 by 3 1/4. So when I had all these, then as you go through and design your pages, you can just grab them. They're pre-done, they're ready to go, and then you can start mixing and matching everything together. And so let's do a couple layouts together so you can get an idea of something you can try. So let's say this was our first page. You could grab the old olive mat. You've got your photo, and you could have your photos done ahead of time or just leave it blank, ready to go for when you want. And then maybe you want to do a fun little coffee cup on this one. So I'm going to show you a fun technique here. So I'm going to use Early Espresso. And this coffee cup, it's just open, right? So you could stamp it on DSP, and then you would have like the pattern in the back. I thought it might be fun to add a little pattern with the flowers. So you could ink up a little bit of the flowers and then just kind of have it like they're a little off. And so we're going to cut this out so it won't look so messy in a second. And then to add a little color, you could add with a blending brush or your Stampin' Blends. So I'm going to, just got my scrap paper here, use Cajun Craze and a blending brush. And I'm just going to go over my coffee cup. And then I might want it to be a little ombre, so I can go darker on the bottom. And a dark color like this, I try to rub off a bit first so you don't get that first big splotch on your project. And I find when you blend too, it'll, as it dries, it kind of darkens up a bit too. Smooths itself out. I'll bring this closer in a second too. And then if you feel like there needs to be coffee in your coffee cup, you could color it in with a blend, or this is the watercolor pencil. But just different ways to kind of color it in. And then you just fussy cut it out. So I'll show you here. So you have to go right up to the edge, of course, because we're cutting off that flower there. And then to do the handle, you can just use a craft knife, like an X-Acto knife. And then you can cut out the inside of your handle. We're just running short of time, so I'm not going to show you all the things. But I just definitely wanted to have one example of that cute little coffee cup. Isn't that fun? So you could also stamp some of the words on the coffee cup, like the better together fits perfectly in there. You could use this one to create like a little pattern on it. And then let me show you. So this is kind of just what the finished one looks like. So I did cut that out with a little X-Acto knife, and then I popped it up with dimensionals. And if you don't have your photo yet, just put your dimensionals on one side. So this is loose, so I can still tuck my photo in when I'm ready. And then this is my other favorite thing to do for like a little project like this, when you want to maybe add little titles or little sentiments. And that is to use, let me just grab it here, the More Messages dies. So I love this bundle. So it also comes with the stamp set with all the sentiments, but these are the dies. So it cuts out all these little shapes at one time. It's perfect, right? It's amazing. So let me grab, I've done it a couple times, so I've got like a little pile here. So once you've got your little pile, then for whatever you're doing, you've got your little photo, then you add your little coffee cup, and then you stamp a little thing, or you write on it like the title or the date or something like that. And then you can easily add it on, and you've got all these label pieces kind of all ready to go. And then it just kind of makes everything a bit easier. And then I'm going to give you a few other page ideas. So for this page, so the back of the cover, what if we did, you could do the blue Misty Moonlight with your photo. I don't have a ton of these photo mats, so I'm just gonna, it helps you visualize that there's a photo there. And then here, I'll show you, I'll just finish this. Okay, when I put my photo mats on, I put the teeniest, tiniest little seal so that if I want to take it off when I'm ready to put my actual photo on, then I can get it off fairly easily. And then we could stick this on, and I'm just gonna quickly, I think I underestimated how long it might take me to show you how to make a whole album. Is this the page I had it on? I'm trying to remember the order I had everything. No, I had it on the green page. Let's turn it over. And you could keep these out, right, while you're putting everything together. So we're gonna put this on the green page. And then you could even use these fun little label pieces as a little decoration. And then maybe you want to grab a sticker like this cute little heart. And then you could center the heart on this and then add it over your picture, right? So then it's not white on white because obviously you have all the texture of your photo there. So you can see how you just kind of go through and start building up a few little fun things. Another idea is to have some of these larger sentiments stamped and ready to go. And so I think this is what I did on this one. So this is the back of the cover. So I might want to bring in my Cajun Craze, and then we could stamp this one, things to do and places to see, right? That's perfect for a little trip. And then you could just put that on. And when you add dimensionals and you pop it up, and then you could add a little twine behind it, and then maybe you add a couple of those textured dots in there, then it starts to fill out the page, right? So they don't have to be complicated. You just kind of go through and add something little every time. Another fun one I wanted to show you was on, I think this, on this plaid page. So let's do this one together. So we are gonna grab some two-tone cardstock. And so this is an early espresso. Now, did you know that every scrapbooking kit also comes with, or what do I want? It has a package of matching two-tone cardstock. That's an assortment pack. So you get 2 sheets of every color that's in the DSP. And so that's a great way to actually get your two-tone supply started. And then it also gives you obviously paper that you can use for your project. And so I am going to cut a piece that's 4 3/4. This is the early espresso. 4 3/4 by let's go 3. And then I had a piece of old olive as well, 2-tone. And I'm going to do the same width, 4 3/4, and it's 1 inch. And my favorite thing to do with 2-tone is tear it. So I'm just going to, I've got the light side up. So this is the original side. This is the lighter side. And I'm just going to have this thumb here. And then my right hand is going to pull down or towards me. And when I do that, then I see the white core. So whatever side you want the white side to show, that's the side you have up. And then tear towards you is how I describe it. But I feel like everybody describes it or does it a little bit differently, but I find that that's what works for me. So then I'm going to use my the dark side of my old olive, and the smaller piece is a little hard to get going, but there we go. This one I have the dark side up, and then I'm just gonna double check. There we go. And I'm actually gonna have this. I'm trying to remember the. Yes, okay, that is what I wanted. I'm gonna have it peeking out. So kind of like so. And then you could do a photo or you could do another sentiment. So there's one that says taking the scenic route. And this is like 3.5 by 1 is the perfect size for this. And I would just line it up right on the edge. So when you mix and match the ripped pieces, it instantly adds all this fun texture. And then you have your sentiment. And then of course, we have all our stickers, right? So you could add like a little footprint, the little acorns. That would look really cute. So that's another idea. And then it might even act right as a title page to a photo that you put there. Let's see. Let's show you. I think I'll show one more idea. Yes. So on the blue page, where's the blue page? There we go. One idea of something you could do is the same thing. So I have grabbed some early espresso, again 4 3/4, and this one is 2.5. So it was a little bigger, 2 3/4, and then I ripped it, and then I stamped the coffee cup right on it. And then you could put that down, and then you could grab your little like 2 by 3 photo, and then you could add that there, and then you could add a little sticker. So like this one says, pull this up here. That one's a little blurry. Focus. Says better together. And then you could just layer that on top like so. Right? There's so many cute things that you can do. You could make your own sentiment. So this is from the stamp set. So I stamped love this place in early espresso, and then that teeny tiny heart I just stamped in old olive, added a little twine behind it. And then you could add that as well for a sentiment. So I just wanted to take you through the basics of how to make this fun little album. And I'm going to complete every page and stick everything down. And then I'm going to take photos of every page and put it up on my blog so you can see how it all is completed. But the basics are you have the structure, so you know how the size is, you know how many pages to make and the dimensions for all that. And then with that sticker sheet and with the stamp set, then you can just go through, you've got your photo mats, and then you can go through and design all your pages and have as many as you want. So it's just like a fun little idea for a little album. Obviously, maybe you want to use different DSP, and you can just tweak this to like whatever like your little summer adventure was. I'm just going to come back up. So thanks for hanging out with me today and watching it. If you watch the replay, I love that you do that. You guys can like and subscribe to my channel, and that always means a lot to me. But I just hope this is a fun thing that just sparks some creativity for you. I am like all in on mini albums at the moment. They're so much fun. The tricky part is now going get some photos printed, so I better go do that. So I hope that that gives you some ideas, and I will be back next week with some beautiful new projects featuring some new paper that I just got. So I can't wait to share those with you. So until next week, you guys take care. And here in Canada, it's a long weekend. So happy long weekend, and I'll see you next week. Bye bye.